Business as an investment vehicle. Are you at a stage where you're tired of working for money and would want to have money work for you instead? In this wealth creation course, the investment vehicle that we'll be talking about is business. This vehicle is slightly skewed towards mid to long-term investment. Are you ready to make more money and get out of the rat race quickly? To begin the journey of a business investor, you'll need a minimum investment cost of $5,000. If you do not have enough, I strongly recommend that you follow the steps in the previous modules about small to mid-term investments because it's important to start small but also to start now. So if you're set, let's get started. Getting out of the rat race is never easy, but it's not impossible. You are considered to be financially free when your passive income is greater than your expenses. A good example would be a respectable corporate manager with quite a great sum of salary. Is their chance of getting out of the rat race higher? The answer is not necessarily. This is because when our income is high, our expenses become higher too. For example, buying branded clothing, driving expensive cars, etc. And it's more difficult for them to have a passive income that could cover their expenses. So this module will be a good guide for you to make great passive income with the savings that you already have and with just a minimum amount of effort. You probably heard of people saying this: if you want to get rich, start a business. The main reason why most people start their business is to get unlimited income as compared to basic salaries, which is true, but what they don't realize is that they do not have freedom to enjoy life, and their business often swallows them up instead of setting them free. 3 crucial steps to invest in the right business: be financially free and spend your time with people who truly matter. But before we dive deep into the steps, let's identify what are the types of businesses available to be invested in. There are franchises, technology or software, startups, partnerships, shopping mall, agriculture, and much more. Welcome back to the second module of Wealth Creation Blueprint: the advantages and drawbacks of business investment in general. If investing in business is so rewarding, why isn't everyone investing? Why isn't everyone a millionaire? So let's talk about the pros and cons of investing in business, the certainty and the uncertainty. There are 2 main types of business investing: the existing business and the startups. The pros and cons of existing businesses. The advantages investing in an existing business are: you have a higher chance of receiving a stable ROI, or return of investment. Have a sales record to gauge the potential growth of the business. A great deal of the groundwork is already done since the business is already up and running. The market for the product or service you will be selling is already established. It can often be easier to obtain financing because the business already has an established track record. There is likely established customers, which means there is a reliable income and a good network of contacts already in place. There should already be a business plan and a marketing strategy in place. Many of the problems that the businesses run into have already occurred and been resolved. The disadvantages in investing in an existing business are: no control of the company's operation and direction. Generally, a large amount of cash is necessary to make the actual investment. You will need a budget for an accountant, attorney, and other fees. You may have to renegotiate or honor any contracts that are already in place with the current owner. Next, let's talk about the pros and cons of startup business investment. The pros of startup business investment are: you can detach yourself from the market trends by diversifying. This is important if a startup has potential helping you to make more money in the long run, it is still a successful investment. The chance of potential growth for a startup is higher. The cons of startup business investment are: startup businesses run at a higher risk of getting no return as compared to established businesses. This is because they don't have concrete branding and do not have a good network of contacts. This leads to less or zero return in the beginning. Lack of resources or capital to work on their businesses. That's probably the main reason why they need investors like you to invest in them. In the next chapter, we'll discuss the pros and cons of different business investment in detail. Are you ready to make more money and get out of the rat race? See you in the next module. Welcome back to the third module on business investment of Wealth Creation Blueprint. Before you invest your money into a business, you'll need to know the pros and cons of the business that you want to invest in. The pros and cons of business investment in specific. The pros of investing in a franchise business. Training and professional guidance are provided. You just need to hire staff to manage it for you. The business is automated and has step-by-step guidelines. Financing is available. You will have a clear picture of your cash flow. Remember, positive cash flow is what you're looking for. Access to other franchisees for help and ideas. The cons of investing in a franchise business. Operational boundaries will always be there, be it geographical, financing, vendors, and so on. Limited industry, so choices may not be available in specific geographical areas. You must pay a royalty fee. The pros of investing in a technology business. Lucrative than other businesses. The cons of investing in a technology business. High risk, it requires a large sum of capital. This is because the cost of technology's hardware and software is fairly high, so ROI for short term is expected to be low. In the upcoming chapters, we'll discuss the 5 steps to invest in business. Welcome, and in this course, we discover that the first step to change is awareness. In the previous module, we talked about the potential benefits and the risks of investing in a business. So now, let's go to step 1 of investing in a business. Step 1, Part 1, identify and research the kind of business or field of your interest. Choose a business you're interested in and also have confidence in doing. Why? Because when you're interested in the business you're investing in, you will take the initiative to research about the company before you invest. If you're investing your money into some business you have not researched on, chances are your money is going into the drain. If you do not take charge or manage your money, someone else surely will. After you identify the business you want to invest in, research the background of the company. Check the company's previous 5 years tax record, annual financial statement, sales figure, profit margin, number of employees, and percentage of ROI. How to go about doing, getting, and the reason behind the records will be explained in the next few modules. In this module, we will be continuing Step 1, Part 2. After identifying your area of interest in the kind of business you want to invest in, now let's see whether you are ready. Is it important to check the company's background before you invest? Yes, definitely. We'll be discussing the 3 crucial elements that you need to look at before investing in any business. Annual financial statement. It is used to separate profits, assets, cash flow, and return on investment of the business so that you as an investor will have a clearer picture of the company's financial status. This helps to avoid any incomprehensible financial jargon and help you to understand the financial account entries better. Financial statements are influenced by the management's estimates and judgments. That being said, the impression that can be inherently found in the accounting process means that the prudent investor should take an inquisitive and skeptical approach towards financial statement analysis. Annual sales revenue. Gross revenue refers to the total amount of the sales contract, while net revenue reflects the amount billed to the customer at that point in time. It's important to distinguish between gross revenue and the actual sales number in business, where there are multiple sources of revenue, including sales, interest, and other proceeds. Revenue allows you to know the market need of the product for the company you're about to invest in. OPEX, operating expenses. Operating expenses is the incurred charges when engaged in any activities, and it may not directly be associated with the production of goods or services. It's important to know both revenue and the operating expenses. From there, you'll be able to identify the net profit, whether or not the business is earning or losing money. Is the business profitable in the long run? Will you be able to make more than what you invested? In the next module, we'll teach you important formulas that will help you make rational decisions in any business you want to invest in. Hope to see you there. In the previous module, we talked about identifying areas of interest in business investment and what are the things to be on the lookout for before investing in a company. So now let's move forward to the second step of investigating a business, the golden formulas to your massive passive income. The golden formulas. Formula 1. Multiple is the performance metric A over performance metric B. A multiple can be used to show how much the business is worth in the market. For example, using the P/E ratio, if you plan to invest your money into a company, you'll need to know how well the company is doing or how much the company is earning for the past few years. The price of the company can be estimated by multiplying the annual earnings of the company by the multiplier of 12. Simple math, but this formula only can be used as a rough estimation of how much the business is worth. However, a more precise way of doing it will be using the EV/EBITDA formula. It is used to measure the cash flow available to the company or business. EV to earnings before interest and taxes, EBIT, also referred to as EV/EBITDA, is used for less capital-intensive companies with a small amount of depreciation and amortization expenses. All multiples act as a single number that analysts can multiply by some financial metric to determine the relative value or worth. With EV/EBITDA formula, you will be able to make comparison between you and your competitor who are doing similar types of business. So after the business valuation, take note of the company's profit and cash flow. Formula 2. Profit equals revenue minus operating expenses. A lot of people get confused with these accounting jargons. If you're going to invest in a business, the main thing you should be looking at will be the profit of the company. Is the company making or losing money? There have been a lot of cases where investors were deceived by focusing on the amount of the revenue made. They forgot that in order to calculate the income, the actual profit, they need to take into account the expenses that were incurred. Is it possible for a company to be having a huge amount of revenue and losing money at the same time? Yes, it's possible. This could happen especially when the operating expenses of the business are higher than the revenue. For instance, the revenue of the business you're about to invest in is $100 million, but the operating expenses are $150 million, so the profit is negative. Is the business profitable? Absolutely not. The business is not profitable. This is not the kind of business you should be investing your hard-earned money in. Why profit and not revenue? Because profit is the bottom line of the business. If the company's annual sales or revenue are high but the profit is low, this shows that the business is not profitable and no one should invest in a non-profitable business. See you in the next module. In this module, we will be continuing Part 2 of Step 2. Formula 3. Cash flow is king, and that is positive cash flow is king. Cash flow from operations can be calculated in two ways. The first one is subtracting the non-cash sales from the sum of the operation income and non-cash expenses, then divide it with the income from the operation. Another way to calculate cash flow from the operation will be subtracting the non-cash expenses from the sum of the net income and non-cash expenses, then divide it with the net income from the operation. As a wise investor, you must only buy or invest into a business that is able to help you make more money. Positive cash flow is what you're looking for, because cash flow is king. A business with a healthy cash flow is like a golden goose that will be laying golden eggs for you. Think about it this way. If a company you're about to invest in does not have a positive cash flow, do you think you'll be able to get your return of investment back? It'll be risky, and there is a fair chance of you not getting back the amount of return that you expected. In the upcoming modules, we will be discussing the hot tips and things to consider if you're going to invest into business startups. Now let's go to Step 2, Part 3 of investing in a business, the golden formulas to your massive passive income. Step 2, Part 3. There are two uses for this particular formula. The first way is to gauge the profitability of the business you're about to invest in. Looking in another perspective, the second way will be to calculate whether you're making money from that investment. That's ROI, your return on investment if you're going to invest a lump sum of money into the business, and whether you're getting your return. Formula 4, Return of Investment, ROI. Formula for ROI. Scenario 1 for business. Business itself is already an investment. To confirm whether the business you're about to invest in is making money, maintaining a positive cash flow, you'll need to find out the ROI of that particular business for the period of at least 2 to 5 years. How to go about doing it? You have to identify the total revenue and cost of the business. ROI of that business can be calculated by subtracting the total cost for the company to run at an efficient and optimum rate from the total revenue of the year, and then divide it over the total cost you've identified earlier and multiply the amount you got. That's the ROI of the company. The ROI is equivalent to the net income from a business or a project divided by the total money invested in the venture multiplied by 100. By venture, I mean other investors. For example, they spent $100,000 to open a digital publishing company and make a net profit of $15,000 in 1 year. So their annual ROI equals $15,000 divided by $100,000 times 100 equals 15%. When calculating ROI, the investment will include not only what the investor spent out of pocket, but also all the borrowed funds. In the same example, the owner might have invested $60,000 out of pocket and secured a loan for $40,000. You must be wondering why you need to calculate the ROI in two ways. Here's why. It does make a lot of sense to think that you only need to know the ROI of the business, but a winner will further ponder in the event where the company's ROI is high. Definitely, the ROI for the money you invested is high too, but the question is, how high? Scenario 2, for yourself, more commonly known as return of equity, ROE. As an investor, you must know the potential return before investing. Never invest in a business that has ROI lower than 5%. How is the ROI for business different from the ROI for yourself? Well, think about it this way. If the ROI of the business you invested in is 6%, does that mean your ROI is 6% as well? You can calculate ROE by dividing the net income by the equity of the investor and multiplying the result by 100. In this example, the digital publisher's owner has an equity stake of $60,000 in the business. So ROE equals $15,000 divided by $60,000 times 100 equals 25%. This means that for every dollar invested, 25 cents were made. The ROI of 15%, on the other hand, means that for every dollar of combined assets and loans invested, the business yielded a 15 cents average profit. An ROI of 8 to 10% is ideal. This should happen every month at all times. When the investment is fully funded by equity and there is no loan involved, the equity and total amount invested are the same. In such cases, the ROI and ROE are also identical. When a loan or investor is involved, however, the ROE will be higher than it would have been without the loan if the additional profit made possible by the loan exceeds the loan's interest expense. Assume you can invest $60,000 and open a small-scale digital publishing company that will return $12,000 annual profit. Or you can borrow $40,000 more and open a far larger laundromat that will net $19,000 in profit. You should borrow funds and run a larger business if the interest expense on the loan is less than $7,000 additional profit made possible by the loan. If it is, your ROE will grow. In the next module, we'll be discussing Step 3 in business investment, In Step 3, the cost of investment and how to leverage using what you already have will be revealed. In the previous modules, we talked about Step 1 and 2 of investing in a business. So now let's get to Step 3. Step 3, strategizing. Do you have what it takes to invest in any type of business in this world? In about 10 seconds from now, you'll be introduced to the meta theory to invest in any business that you desire. The meta theory. M stands for money, E, energy or passion, T, time, A, action taker. Meta is the cost of all investments. How is it so? The M in meta represents money. Let's be frank, you cannot invest when you do not have the money, which is why we have a one whole module about how to raise capital for investing. How much money is enough in terms of investing in a business? The starting cost will be at least $5,000 in U.S. currency. The USD 5,000 should not be used for other purposes except to invest. That being said, investing in business shouldn't be a burden to you or your family. Your family should have enough money that they can cover their daily expenses. If you do not, I strongly recommend you start small. Investments like gold and silver, which are sustainable, long-term investments, but with a lower ROI over time. The E in meta represents energy. Why is this part of any investment, you might ask? Energy is defined as the strength and vitality required for any physical or mental activity. Energy is also defined as the power derived from utilizing physical or chemical resources, especially to provide light and heat or to work machines. Same thing applies to any kind of investment, including starting your own business. Your energy for the investment you're in will result in the return of investment, which is the light, heat, or even a machine that can work. The T in meta represents time. If you're having a full-time job, it's understandable that you have limited time to look after your investment, which is totally okay. In wealth creation, the main aim is to create multiple passive income streams so that you make money work for you. In investment, time management is very important, especially in business investment. As an investor, you would want to know how well is your investment going. To achieve this, you'll have to monitor your investment from afar by requesting a monthly report from the company you invested in. You can also visit the company to see the company's progress. My recommendation would be once in 2 months. While doing that, take note on how the company has changed since your last visit. The A in meta represents action. Actions speak louder than words. Ever heard of done is better than perfect? The pre-step of any successful investment is to take action. Fear will always be there. Acknowledge the fear and move on. Why and how will that impact the investment? The human brain is designed in a way that when it senses risk or things are not in the equilibrium state, it will self-tune and send signals like voices to tell you not to take the risk, even if the risk is bound to bring positive growth. Let me give you another situation using infants as an example. Infants experience the world by using all 5 senses. Are they actually thinking? No, not really. They're just gathering information of the world that might be useful to them in the future. Actions like crawling, eating, reading, and making sense of things are new to them. But why is that infancy stage the fastest of all? That is because their brains have not gathered disempowering beliefs that can obstruct their learning. Can you imagine if the baby is scared of falling down? That way the baby will never be able to walk. Same goes for you. Are you the infant in business investments, or are you the one who's filled with disempowering thoughts? Hello, you've unlocked the secret step, which is Step 4 of business investment. In the previous modules, we talked about the 3 steps in business investment. So, are you ready to take things one step higher? Bonus step: 3 important questions to ask your attorney. Hiring an attorney to speed up your journey of business investment. What does an attorney do? An attorney is a person appointed to act for another in business or legal matters. Attorney is also a lawyer. This module will be a set of questions for you to ask your attorney. Among the questions to consider asking your attorney: do you have prior experience working with business and their investors? From there, ask them to share their experience in connecting investors to a businessman with you. What is the common issue that made the investor turn down the investment? Then reflect whether or not you're facing the same problem. What red flags do you see and how can they be avoided? If yes, ask for advice from the attorney that can help that problem. Here are some questions you can ask your attorney. How much personal protection do I have if the company is sued? What if management made decisions or agreed with terms with other parties after you've invested in them? Are you supposed to share the cost of their mistakes? These questions are crucial. In the next module, we'll be talking about the million-dollar question every investor should ask. Hello, welcome back to Part 2 of the Secret Step in Business Investment. Are you ready to know what are the frequently asked questions by investors? What are the advantages and disadvantages of the investment I'm considering? How much money could I potentially lose if my investment goes bad? If you have more than enough to invest and just want things to be fast, this is what you can ask your attorney. This can also help you identify the quality of the attorney you're engaging with. Is he or she really the one for you? Is he or she on your side or on the businessman's side? Know the potential risk or failure is also an opportunity for you to make a wise choice and a rational decision. The company that you perceive to be profitable turns out to be less valuable than what you think. Does that say something about you? I hope the questions I've talked about give you a sense of direction to help you when you're investing. In the next module, we'll be talking about killer tips to any successful investment. Business as an investment vehicle. In the previous module, we've talked about the hidden step, which is Step 4, legal way to invest in any businesses. Amazing! Now let me share with you the killer tips for business investment success. Insurance. To secure your investment, check if the company bought any insurance. This is crucial. What if accidents happen to the company you invested in? Will the accident affect your return of investment? You might feel bad for only thinking about the money, the ROI, but it's true. Who will put in money to a company that'll generate not profit but loss? Can the whole situation be avoided in the first place? How? By buying insurance for the business. Do not compromise to things that can bring you down, especially when those things can be easily avoided. Location. Is the business you're investing in online or offline? If it is an offline business, will the location of the company affect the sales of the business? Is it accessible to the local community? If it is possible for you to pay a visit to the company you're going to invest, do it. The office. If you're visiting the office, which I strongly recommend you do, because there will be signs whether the company you're investing in has the potential and is ready for significant growth. In the next module, we'll discuss the 3 main pointers that you should be aware of when you're visiting the office. Welcome back to the Killer Tips to Business Investment Part 2. The very first thing you should be looking at will be the culture of the office. Does the company have a code of honor or somewhat similar mission, vision, goals? A code of honor is a set of rules which are agreed on by everyone in the company, committing to bringing the company forward. Then get to know how the business works and talk to the employees. This can help you predict the management style of the business. Do you agree that unity produces strength? Would you rather invest in a company where the management is making all the decisions and employees with excellent potential are not being appreciated, or a company which values people that are creative at solving problems and having fun while doing it? At the end of the day, it's the results that matter. You might have that kind of thinking, but isn't it better to get the results and have fun at the same time? This way, the turnover rate will be reduced and the company does not have to spend time and money to train people all the time. But what if you're unable to verify the data you're supposed to know? Does that say something about the company you're about to invest in as well? If the company doesn't practice and cultivate clarity, do you think that they really know what they're doing? If a sea wanderer does not know how to navigate the sea, do you think they can escape from heavy storms in time? If the company's directions are not being stated clearly, can the company go far? Clarity is power. Make sure you're clear about whatever things you're doing and about to do. Continuing with business as an investment vehicle. Hello there. In the last modules on business investment, we have been discussing the 5 aspects to take note before confirming the investment with the company you're interested in investing in. The first aspect would be the automation of business. Why is this important? I've never seen any successful business without automation. What does it mean when the business doesn't have any automation? The opposite of automation is dependency. Would you invest in a business that is fully reliant on the boss or manager? What if the boss or manager decided to take themselves out from the business? Do you think the business can still run smoothly? The company you're investing in should be up and running without the need to depend on anyone. That being said, only big decisions should be decided by the manager or the boss. The second aspect is a complete list of the company's liability. This is important because the numbers from the business valuation can be adjusted to make it look appealing just to get you on board. With a liability list, you'll be able to know who the company is receivable from and payable to. How is that important to you as an investor? Well, think about it this way. The profit can be influenced by the liability of that particular company. So invest in a company with a high profit and low liability. The third aspect is to identify to whom the company receivables is from and payable to. Receivable and payable also includes debt disclosure. If the company you're investing in is in debt, but it has potential to grow and to make a lot of money, do not invest in them. In debt and on loan is different. It is possible for a company with potential to be on a loan, but not when it is in debt. In debt and turnover rate are telltale signs that the company is not doing as well as what the business valuation has shown. Hello there. Congratulations, you're nearing the end of the course on business investment. By now, you need to have faith in yourself and take action in investing. Remember the story of the infants? Do you want rapid growth or stagnation? So let's continue with the fourth aspect, which are the legal contracts. This part is where things get interesting. There are companies out there in the market which are doing pretty well and are tied by some legal contracts with a third party. Upon investing, do you have to obey the contract's terms and conditions too? Will this bring you more favorable results or negative ones? You need a lawyer or attorney to solve these things for you. Yes, it might increase the cost of your investment, but it's worth every penny for it because these are the external factors affecting your returns of investment, or ROI. The last aspect will be the reputation of the company and the relationship of the buyer with the seller. How do you go about learning that? Log on to the company's website, social media page, or any online forum to have a glimpse of how the community reviewed that particular company. This has an impact on the return of investment as well, because the company can only be profitable if the community likes the products or services the company provides. And that's the end for Business Investment Lesson. Hi there. Good to see you again here because I know you're one of the few who's eager enough to have the desire to master the art of investment. Congratulations. Let the fire in you burn bright. Now, what you really need is simple, which is getting into the game. Begin now from wherever you are with whatever you've got. Starting now is more powerful than starting perfect. Remember the A in Meta represents actions? And I have something really interesting for you coming up next. Here are 10 action points for you to execute your plan and journey of investing. First, surround yourself with experts. Exchange ideas with them. Banish excuses that are in your way to achieve financial freedom. Spend at least one day a month to check on the progress of the investment. Practice patience and optimism. Turn your obstacles into opportunities. Focus on what you have now and be grateful for it. A positive mind will attract more positive things in life. Identify situations or people who are downers in your life. Stay positive. Take things one step at a time. Know your own capabilities, strengths, and weaknesses. Be aware of the market trend by reading the news. External factors can affect your return on investment as well. Knowing when to start and when to stop is very important. Practice intuition. How? By being observant. Take a deep breath and tell yourself you've already got what it takes to be financially free.